Last 2 Pages, a podcast for 2 best friends who love to read, just can't keep it to themselves. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Megan, and on this episode, we'll be talking about our reading goals for 2024 and our most anticipated reads. Happy New Year, everyone!
It is the 2nd week of January.
How are you feeling?
Here in Minnesota, we haven't gotten a lot of snow yet, so it doesn't even feel as though it has been winter yet.
I'm miserable.
And I haven't really registered that it is 2024, but it does not feel like 2023 anymore. It kind of feels like it's been 2024 for months now. And that's the best way I can describe it.
There's some weird vibes in 2024. Like, I feel like the new year started and I've felt a little like,
I'm not exactly sure what this year will hold. And I guess that's every year. But I don't really...
You're not a psychic is what I'm hearing.
No, unfortunately. Sometimes. I've had a few dreams.
You have.
I've had dreams that have came true. When my sister went into labor, the night before, I dreamt she went into labor. And so...
Look at you.
Say what you will. Maybe it was just probable cause, but I could be psychic.
That's fantastic. How was your holiday season and your new year?
It was really good. It was filled with a lot of family time, which is always fun. I love my family. And just a lot of nothingness. What about you?
It was good. I read more than I thought I would. Normally when I am super busy and a lot's going on, I don't really have time to read. But I read more physical books and not audiobooks this winter season, and that is a first.
Good for you.
Because I am an audiobook queen. I don't ever... It's been hard to get through my physical bookshelves because I've been so busy. So
your trophies.
Yeah, that felt really good
That's
get to do that.
How was your new year?
It was really good. My long distance partner was back from where he lives, and so I got to see him after 4 months of not seeing him. So that was really fun and great. Yeah, it's miserable, but that's totally fine. Life goes on, right? So yeah. How was your new year?
I was invited to like 3 separate parties and
Popular girl.
I didn't go to any of them. I don't know. Maybe I'm in my introvert era or in my granny era, but I stayed in and painted the map of Middle Earth on my wall in my bedroom, and it was phenomenal.
Wow. That
I know.
I'm telling you, weird vibes for 2024. I kind of love it.
It looks dope. It's not done yet, so my room is still a construction zone, and I don't love that, but
I still have yet to see it. I feel like it'll be
so
really
cool.
That's super awesome.
I haven't even read Lord of the Rings fully yet.
Well, I did get Teresa a little box set of Lord of the Rings for Christmas.
I also got another one. I have 3 sets of Lord of the Rings, and I haven't read them yet. So this year is actually the year of Tolkien for me.
Oh.
I will be reading them. I have been a diehard for the movies my entire life. And so I was always like afraid to read the books because I've just loved the movies I don't even remember the first time I watched them. I watched them a million times and I adore them. And so I'm very excited to finally read the books. Me and my sister want to do a little book club.
Ooh. I feel like I'm a part of too many book clubs, and then I never read the books because I'm a hyper mood reader. So, you know, I'm like, I can't be tied down to what I'm going to read because last year it literally took me, I think it said like 250 days to read one of my books because I just set it down on my coffee table and didn't pick it back up.
Dang.
Until I physically forced myself. I was like, this has got to get off my currently reading because...
I mean, was it good enough to not DNF then?
Yeah, I didn't want to
not finish DNF.
So this book was Beyond the End of the World. It's the 2nd book in a series by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, who are my like diehard favorite authors. But this book felt just like too much YA. There was it had a horrible like stolen identity trope in it. And bad miscommunication.
That's
like
really stressful.
That's how the whole book starts, and this like first book ends, and I'm like, I can't mentally handle that at all right now. So took a break from it. I read a few pages like every now and then, but I was still like, this is too frustrating to read. The end of the book was really, really good, but it was just like, you know, sometimes you just need some time to get over that book hump. That's just like, I don't want to deal with it. So.
Oh, I know.
What are you excited for reading wise in 2024? Do you have goals? Do you feel like, I know you said you're going to read Lord of the Rings, but
that is a big one. I am also very excited for the Third Crescent City. I am also actually a little terrified. Every time I see a theory online, my stomach drops a little and I kind of feel like I'm going to throw up. And good on Sarah J. Maas for creating a series that I am just anxious about this book. I really have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't either.
So much has already happened in the Crescent City books 1 and 2. Like, so much has gone down. It's insane. She really just info dumps like basically the whole time. And I still devour them. Speaking of binging books, I read the second Crescent City in less than 27 hours.
I do remember that because you had my copy of it. So
my friend's brother still brings it up because I was at her cabin and he's like, "You're one friend that read that book in a day?"
Isn't it like 900 pages? How long is that book? Yeah.
I think it's like 980 pages.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And so that one's the big one. I haven't finished A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I'm really excited to finish that one.
By Suzanne Collins, yeah.
Yes. Along with Gold by the Plated Prisoner series, Raven Kennedy. Yeah. That one I've heard a lot of good reviews for, so I'm very excited to that. It's a lot of like continued series that I'm very excited to keep getting into. Also, to start the Atlas Paradox. I don't remember who that's by, but
I've never heard of that.
I think it's for sure a duology. I think it's technically sci-fi. I actually don't know anything about them, but they're really pretty and they're on my bookshelf and I'm excited.
I need to read these, but I don't know when I'm going to read them. Got it.
Exactly.
I probably have heard about them, but I just don't remember.
What about you?
Honestly, one of my big goals for this year is just to read my bookshelf.
I feel similarly.
Because my bookshelf is full of books that I haven't gotten to. And I'm a bad, I'm not going to have time to read the physical book. So I'll just audiobook it and rent it on Libby and never open the book on my bookshelf. That is a bad habit. That's a really bad habit. And I need to just stop doing that.
It's just a trophy then.
I mean, you're not wrong. I read the Lunar Chronicles this year and I audiobooked all of those. And then you got me that for Christmas. So I will be reading those physical books. But that's also a really bad habit of mine is just rereading series because I'm like, oh, I gotta experience it again. Like I know every year I'm gonna read These Broken Stars by Megan Kaufman and Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I know that's on my list this year.
Yeah.
But I need to go outside of that bubble sometimes, you know, not saying that I'm not going to read it. I am going to read it, but I need to not just read sci-fi and fantasy. Like I'm really trying to push myself into new genres. And the book I'm reading currently is like a classic, but it's not like one of the classics you normally read in like a high school level. So that's been kind of a push for me. It's in our little stack here, actually. How about we talk about it at the end? Because that's my current read. So you're going to have to wait. Sorry, girlfriend.
Okay.
Also in the new year, I think dusting my bookshelf is going to be a goal of mine because it is so dusty over there.
I learned about book mites recently.
What is that?
It's like little mites
little bugs.
In your bookshelves. Like I think if you get books from secondhand stores, they can have them and they dig and eat holes through your pages.
I don't like that.
I know.
That's really terrifying.
And also some people have had book mold and I'm like, where are you storing your books that they're getting damp enough to mold? Terrifying.
New goal. I don't want book mold. So I think
it's you just pull the books back a little, so they have air behind them.
Okay.
I think that's one way to deter that. Okay. But book mites, I've seen people throw away garbage bags full of their books.
No thanks.
I know.
I don't like that at all.
I'm like, that is hundreds of dollars.
No, I really don't like that. But most of my anticipated reads are around, I mean, obviously I'm excited for Crescent City. Crescent City was the first Sarah J. Maas book I ever read. So it's kind of like, it holds a special place in my heart for that reason. But other than that, it really is like reading my bookshelves. There's so many books on there I haven't read.
Didn't you read Crescent City like way before ACOTAR?
Mm-hmm.
Did you even know?
I thought it was a standalone. No, I had no idea who Sarah J. Maas was. I had I think I like just got TikTok. It was during COVID. I was like, this looks like this is all over. And I haven't really picked up a book in a while that's not These Broken Stars that I read every year.
That's real.
So I should, maybe look at reading another book. And so I got that because it had a pretty red cover, and I was really into the color red that year. I don't know.
Valid.
Read it in like 2 days, and then I was like, oh my God, what are her other books? And then I got Silver Flames and read that book.
Real.
Not the book you're supposed to start with in that series. So
no.
It's okay. It's all good.
But remember,
we grow, we
learn.
We
never lose.
You know how it is.
We learn.
Do you track books?
I do track books. When I first started reading like 2 years ago, I just had it all in my notes app.
Oh.
And just like had stars behind them, like just the titles and stars. And it wasn't until I started my Bookstagram that I realized there were apps for that. And then I got Goodreads.
Oh, okay.
And Goodreads it's fine. I like Goodreads, but now I've been seeing everywhere that everyone is moving over to Storygraph.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have both.
I do have both, just because I don't know who uses what, and I like both of them for different reasons. Like,
I like the year review more from Storygraph.
I do really like that. I've noticed that you can choose an audiobook version of the book, and I didn't do that all year. So it looks like I only read 2 audiobooks.
And these are they all free to download? Yeah.
On what?
I don't think any of them cost any money.
For what?
These apps.
Oh, no, they're free apps. I was like, the books that we're reading, have you checked your bank account? Because you do put a credit card in the, card machine when you're at your bookstore.
Oh,
books
yes,
do cost money.
I am familiar. But these apps, yeah, they're all free. And a lot of people are moving over from Goodreads.
I really like Storygraph, honestly. I find more people.
They can have a more detailed review. Mm-hmm. So I think I might try out Storygraph this year and see which I prefer, because I don't really love how Goodreads, when you're putting in the dates, that's always the part that kind of like is annoying, because I don't know why it's like kind of difficult for me. But
I found sometimes that if I reread a book, it will count as 2 reads immediately. So it'll look like I read the book 3 times on Goodreads, which is really annoying.
Oh.
Like, it counted it like, you read this book twice immediately after each other. I'm like, I didn't do that.
Oh, weird.
So my counts got all weird, and I had to go back in and
I guess I didn't even double check.
But
in 2023, though, I read 65 books, which I was very proud of that.
That's awesome. I think I finished with 67, so that's super exciting.
And my goal for 2023 was 100 books. And I thought that was doable because the year before I had only read for like half the year and read 60 books. But then the unexpected happens and you just hit the biggest book slump ever, and you don't read any books for like 3 months, and then you painstakingly trudge through a middle school level series where the books are only 130 pages and I am still into 2024 reading 39 Clues.
I mean, they're good books.
They are, but wow.
Do you feel like you're nursing your book slump back to health? Like, what do you think is going to get you over that finish line?
In the infirmary. I hope so. I think so. Starting this podcast has really gotten me more excited to start reading. I think it's really helped me like, oh yeah, and get back into it. And now I'm getting like books, and I am hoping for that.
That's awesome.
This year.
That's awesome.
What was your goal last year?
My goal was 52.
Oh, so
I tried to keep it like doable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm keeping it this year just because I know I read a lot of series back to back to back, like sprinting last year, and then I went a month with only reading 2 books. So I know I'm very much a mood reader where it's like,
yeah,
I'm never not going to be a mood reader. It just is kind of how I read. I'm never going to be like, well, Bookstagram said I should read this book, so we're getting right on that train. I just can't force myself to read a book.
I lowered my goal in 2024 to 52.
We're twins.
Because that's something I know I can attain. And if I blast past it, it's just a little
pat on the back for you.
Like, oh, wow.
That's awesome.
And even book goals they're book goals. Don't let it control you.
Mm-mm.
Don't let it make you feel bad about yourself.
Life is too short to stick to, not to stick to anything, but it's, life is too short to determine your worth in how much or what type of books you read.
Yeah. And books and reading are supposed to be fun things.
Mm-hmm.
And if something is being a detriment to that, remove it. That's people. Cut them off. Maybe not.
I saw on Twitter that some people had already read 8 books. And I was like,
that was me last year because I started 2023 reading Shatter Me.
That'll do it.
And I read 11 books in 5 days. But most of them are novellas, so it was pretty quick. It was so good.
60 to 100 pages, right? The novellas are.
Yeah.
Shatter Me by Tahina Mafi.
Oh, Tahina Mafi.
We're stupid.
I love that. Just you could hear the cogs working in our brain.
The rust.
Or not working.
As well as dusting off my bookshelf, I'll be dusting off my brain in this new year. So a little bubble bath for her.
Well, your brain is wet, so you should probably use Clorox wipes. Or dusting wipes. I didn't know those were a thing until one of my friends threw up. And the first thing I grabbed, I thought they were facial cleansing wipes. They were dusting wipes, and she had a rash on her face. She had a rash on her face the next day.
That poor thing. God.
Yeah, I was just trying to be helpful. I was not. So dusting wipes are a thing, so you can use that for your brain.
Okay, great. Good to know. Also in 2024, I want to do more buddy reads.
Oh.
I struggle with if I'm told to do something, I'm not going to do it.
I'm bad at buddy reads.
I am too. And we even did a buddy read, and I finished it within the first 3 days because I was like, oh, I gotta do the buddy read. I gotta do the whatever.
What book did we read?
Maybe we did it for Fourth Wing. You finished Fourth Wing before me.
In a day, yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, no. You finished before me, but didn't write any comments. And then I was like, oh, I have to read, thinking that you wrote comments, and then you didn't.
Yes, I did. Did it not work?
I did not see any of them.
That was on Storygraph, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a new app. I'll give it. It's time. For 2024 reading, I think I just want to be more consistent.
Okay.
Because I'm usually, when I binge books, I'll binge a bunch of them, 5 to 15, and then I'll just not read for about a month. And I like the idea of every day reading a little bit. And I think that's something that reading the 39 Clues has helped with, because it's easy to just. And that's why I like to mix in those kind of denser books, books that feel like you're a real adult. And
marathoning.
Oh, reading a few pages before bed, and you're like, oh, put it on the nightstand, you're like, I'm a real adult. It's just a delusion, but.
No, that's okay. You don't have to read adult books to be an adult. So Teresa had this great idea to do this fun game. Do you want to explain it to us?
Yes. So before we fully remove ourselves from the year of 2023, I thought we'd take one last gander through the books we read that year in a little game of Kiss, Marry, Kill Books edition.
Fantastic.
So, to begin, we both picked books from last year that we thought fit into this category. Kiss means you loved it. Chef's kiss, that's how I imagined it anyways. Marry, a beautiful book or series that you just forever and ever will hold dearly. And kill, just a dud that just wasn't it. And so what was your kiss?
My kiss for this year was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I felt like it had great story building, or great world building, a great story. It's unfinished, so I can't give it that finish line because I don't know what's going to happen. The first 2 books are out, and the 3rd book is coming out. Well, it was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but now it's like 4 books, and that was just announced last year, and they're both coming in 2025, I think. So I have a long time to wait, but genuinely loved the story, loved the characters. Pros before bros recommended it to me, and that's how I started the year with that series for the most part. So it was just like a little, can't wait to get back into fantasy.
And you raved about it for the whole year.
Truly, like I remember those books and I want to reread them all again. They were just great. So
yeah, no, I was gonna read them last year and then I didn't. So those are another
nothing like a slump
read for this year that I plan on reading Legendborn. My kiss was the Shades of Magic trilogy that our friend Crinkle Pages gave to me for Christmas. And this series was by V.E. Schwab. And I love the way she writes about pain and suffering and how people triumph over that. And also the world building was so unique and the magic system was so cool. And it was just... it felt so complete to me, but also with the possibility to go somewhere else. And I loved the female main character. She was such a badass. I loved her. And it was super fun. It was just...
I love that for you.
Yeah, the third one.
I really want to read that series. You've like said such great things about it, and that I'm like, really should get on that.
If you like V.E. Schwab's writing, you'll like it. A lot of people, it's kind of hit or miss. For like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, not a lot of people loved that one by her, but the third one, A Conjuring of Light, I just loved so much.
I'll have to look at it. I think I've like bookmarked them on Libby, but I think I'm like waiting. It's probably like 120 week wait or something ridiculous. So
you can borrow my physical copies if you're back into it.
Maybe I should work on reading my shelves.
Real. Okay, true.
My Mary.
Yes.
Was a series that I will never shut up about ever again. And that's The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Myers. I cannot stop talking about this series.
No.
Ate all that up. Literally, the characters, the way it ends, the fact that there's a book about the villain and like her story and all of it. And there's a novella at the very end that talks about what happens to them after all of their stories and the dual POVs, and it's like a sci-fi fantasy. It's not only...
Oh, like, that's perfect for you.
I know. It's not just fantasy because I'm very much not a like, what's the word? Like fairy tale. I really don't like that type of fantasy.
Okay, yeah.
But then it marries it to the, dystopian
your
sci-fi stuff. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that at the top of my shelves.
It is actually physically
at the top of my shelves
right now.
Yeah, it's great.
My Mary was a series that I saw a lot on Bookstagram and was not sure if I would love, and then I ended up loving it. It did help that I read it on the bus ride when I was in Spain, but it was The Serpents and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about a vampire fantasy, but I really loved them. And then I really, really loved the novellas because they felt like, if you've ever watched the show Castlevania on Netflix, it felt like Castlevania. And I loved them. I was so excited about those books.
Okay, I might need to read these books.
So I'm really excited to see where they go. And I just remember reading them and just going, I was always so worried about the vampires being a little, I don't know, cringy maybe. And then it just wasn't. And it felt realistic for her as why this female main character could kick so much ass. And you're like, she's just a little human, and then you learn more, and it's like, okay, word.
Okay, I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I started the first 2 pages, and then first 2 pages. But it wasn't the right time. You know, every time I start it, I feel like it's not the right time, and I just don't read it.
It's a certain mood.
I need to like get into that this year, but it's sitting on my shelves, so that is the goal.
That is exciting.
So the kill of this year is a hot take for me. I'm really sorry to all of Bookstagram, but my kill is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Whoa, really?
When I finished the book, I felt better about it than what I do now.
Oh,
the
that's
longer
real.
I sit with the story, the more I'm like,
okay,
meh. I'm also just like, I find dragons kind of cringy if they're not done the right way. Personally, it felt a little too like, the young broken girl sits upon the most powerful dragon, and not only that, she gets 2 because she's super special, and then her mom is evil, and the guy that she likes is also evil, but they are together in a dark alleyway. Oh my god.
Okay,
like
spoilers.
it just felt a little like, it's not packing a punch.
I do understand what you're saying,
and that's why I'm not gonna read Iron Flame or any of the other ones, and I've heard a lot of things about Iron Flame not being great, or like a slump, or editions being messed up because it was very much like,
I've heard so many mixed reviews about Iron Flame. I have it, but I haven't started it yet.
You'll have to let me know how it
Fourth
is.
Wing, for me, I really loved the feel of it. I think it's because it just felt so much like reading Divergent again. That's why I was like, ooh, and it brought me back to that dystopian, but also a merge with fantasy. And the longer I've sat with it, I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best. And then I saw this Goodreads review about Xaden wearing skinny jeans, and that was it. It was just 1 star, and it was just Xaden wears skinny jeans. And I thought,
that's a hot take.
He wears skinny jeans. Dang.
Like, I think I'm totally okay with like people liking what they like. I think it's a great like book if you're trying to get into fantasy, or you know, you're interested in dragons. But for me, I just was like, this isn't the type of book I like to read. And
That's
you
fair.
know what? I did read it because it was hyped, and I need to stop doing that.
I loved the dragons, mostly just because I love dragons.
That's fair.
And yeah,
awesome.
That's I totally understand what you're saying though.
What's your kill?
My kill was super disappointing. My kill was Book of Night by Holly Black, and I love Holly Black. I have always loved her modern fairy tales with Cruel Prince and The Darkest Part of the Forest. I was big fans, big advocates for that, and so I was very excited because it was kind of a darker adult fantasy by her. But within the first 15 pages, she mentioned TikTok, and it immediately, I was like, I like a modern fairy tale, but you cannot have any elements of the modern world that's like real. Like if you're talking about YouTube and social media,
that kind of takes it out.
No, I don't want that. And then it was just, it dragged on and on. And
That's
I got
so unfortunate because the cover is beautiful.
Oh, it's so pretty. And that's why I got it, because I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I love all of her other books. And no, it was just boring. Boring. And I didn't expect it to be.
Interesting.
And I was sad about it. I was like, come on, Holly.
What are you reading right now, Teresa?
What are we currently reading right now? I, unsurprisingly, am reading what I thought was the last 39 Clue, and Megan just informed me that it's not. I'm currently reading Into the Gauntlet. It's the last of what I know of the 39 Clues to be, and I'm very excited because it's the longest one so far, and I think there's going to be a lot that happens that I am not expecting or ready for. So it's good. The kids are finally, you can see the finish line. And I'm very excited for that.
That's awesome. I really love that book. So
It's been exciting.
I'm excited for you to finish. It's a very like fast-paced story, and so I feel like that's a really good continuation of that fast pace while also giving you an ending that's not in the last 15 pages.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that ending lasts the whole book. You can kind of like feel the gears starting to slow down.
Yeah,
you know,
the pieces are all finally coming together, and I'm very excited to finish
I love that about a book. That's awesome.
What are you reading right now?
I am currently reading I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is a classic, and I am not a classic reader, but it was written in 1920, and it's a book that's about someone of the female experience without external pressures. So this book starts out with 40 women stuck in a cell, with 3 male guards around them that don't talk to them. The women in the cage are not allowed to touch each other. They're not allowed to do anything that's like trying to get out or, you know, off themselves or anything like that. And it's about this young girl that was mistakenly put in with all of these women, and her learning how to be a woman and how to be a person within this cage.
Whoa.
It's really awesome. I've really loved it. It doesn't go by chapters. It almost is like just paragraph by paragraph. You're learning more.
Interesting.
It's a really short read, but
Jacqueline Hartman.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So I recommend it if you're looking to, you know, jump into classics, but don't feel like reading something that you read in high school. This is definitely not that book. This is something that it's already like touched pieces of me that I wasn't expecting it to, and like reflecting upon my own childhood or like how I came into womanhood.
Interesting.
It's really good. So I recommend.
Wow. Cool.
Are you going to take that for yourself in case you... No, just kidding.
You're like, oh.
Interesting you say that.
Interesting reaction.
Welcome to 2024, everyone. We hope you like this episode of Last Two Pages.
And thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode. I just really want to say that we appreciate you all so much. We didn't really have expectations of what the receiving of this podcast would be, because it's just a silly little thing we wanted to do, and I really love. It makes me feel so ushy-gushy that people are liking it.
Are you about to cry?
No.
Another cry count for Teresa?
No.
Quick little story. In college, we used to have a cry count. And by we, I mean I had a cry count for Teresa. One whole year, I got on tape her crying 100 separate times.
Yeah, people would slide up that she didn't even know and just would say, "Is this girl okay?"
They were really concerned for Teresa.
And you know what? Doing fine.
To more happy tears in 2024.
To more happy tears. Tune in next week for more fun things.
And we'll see you on the next page. That was so good. That ending was so good. That Kiss, Marry, Kill was so good.
It flowed so well.